Hey, it's Samuel Larsen here, and let's talk about the way that lets you automate your sales and automatically gives you orders every single month. I'm of course talking about the subscription method and the model of e-commerce. So let's talk about how you can automate your sales and what are the cons and pros of that. Now, of course, if you think about this, you have a product that a customer would need every month. It would make sense for you to try to sell to him that product every month. Now, but the problem is if you're just doing one-time sales, the customer has to come there, fill everything in every time, and do the purchase monthly. Now, that's a hassle for you, and that's a hassle for the customer. Now, a lot of people prefer to just purchase it once and have it delivered every single month, for example. And that is the subscription model. It's actually very easy for the customer because for them, it's all about the time and convenience. And by receiving something every month to your door, that's actually very convenient for them. So they don't have this need for repeat buying. And I see this as one of the most underutilized models in e-commerce and one of the biggest opportunities right now. So there's this shift in thinking that is going on at the moment where people are more used to buying on a monthly basis. So we are less scared about subscribing to services, and it's becoming more and more normal to pay monthly to Netflix, Spotify, and these kind of things. And this kind of mindset will eventually go into these regular products as well. So this model will become more and more popular as I see the public consciousness shift. And we can already see that this model is very much used by SaaS companies. So a lot of companies are selling their software as a service and gaining a lot of popularity with this model. Okay, so let's think about this because for the customer it's a little bit of a less of an investment because they're getting the initial product cheaper, but there is still some doubts about this. So the good thing about this model for a merchant is that it's very easy to calculate your customer lifetime value. If you're just selling one-off purchases, you might get people to come back, you might not, and it's a very difficult thing to tell. But for this, you know exactly how much profit you're making per month, and you pretty much know how long they are going to stay as a customer. So that way you know exactly how much you can pay for acquiring one. Now, a good thing also is that with the subscription business model, the revenue occurs long term. So your revenue will actually be very predictable. And with predictable revenue, that's a great thing because then you don't have to be worried or do a lot of guesswork about your products, about your inventory. You just have that pretty stable income because it's unlikely that a lot of people would suddenly leave and your subscription rates would just plummet at any point. It's also unlikely that they will massively rise at any point, so you get that nice consistent line there. That means easy revenue forecasting. And what that means for you is easy inventory management. So you know exactly how much you are going to have to ship each month. And this way you don't buy too much, you don't buy too little. You get it very much to the range. And it also means that if you have a lot of subscribers, you are in a great negotiation position with your suppliers and with all kinds of liaisons that you have. Also great for cash flow. You are most of the time getting paid in advance. So you get the money, you can pay the money for whoever you're paying to supply to you. And you always have that like positive cash flow. The money goes through you and you don't have to trust people to pay you. Okay, so that's great things. Also, one like last pro, and it's a big one, is that it will be very easy for you to attribute shipping methods. So let's say you have one shipping method that takes a long time, but it's really cheap. Now you can ship the product like 2 weeks in advance. It's not a problem, as long as you have got paid. So just have that, and then you can use the cheapest shipping methods possible, and kind of like give that value to the customer or make that profit yourself. So another great thing, the customer doesn't need to wait for the product, and you don't need to hurry with the shipping. Now there's some cons to this, and they are not as obvious as the pros. So let's think about this. The biggest common misconception that I always see and hear is that people think that the subscription sale is actually a single sale. And people think that it's less commitment for person to subscribe to this product than it is to buy it every month. Now, I would actually disagree with this being an easier sale, and let me explain why. Because the actual customer needs to take this massive commitment step, and they realize that these things might like be complicated, so they're worried about the cancellation, how easy it will be, how much commitment they have there, whether they want this every month, whether they even like this, like have they tested the product before they subscribe to it. There's a lot of these like commitment issues. So you have to be able to answer to the customer very clearly how easy is it to leave this subscription model and how exactly it works in a way that explains it to them well. Okay. Then another thing is that these subscription models, they can quickly become boring because you are shipping the same commodity most of the time to the customer every month. And since it's a boring commodity, there's probably tiny margins there because you have to compete with price, at least to a certain degree, if you are selling a commodity. Now, if you are not selling a commodity, if you're selling something custom, so let's say like you're shipping new socks every month, for example. Now, this is something that you cannot really guarantee that the customer will like this exact custom product. So that's quite a big gamble for the customer. They're just getting something random, and it's quite a big gamble for you because let's say the customer doesn't like a couple of the products that you send them, like if you send them, for example, monthly. Now, it's unlikely to stay a customer a long time if you are not able to supply that particular demand. And on the flip side, on the commodities, let's say like we're shipping coffee, for example, every month. Now, there's this problem that there's always too little or too much of this commodity available. So it's very difficult to get that commodity exactly right. So let's say I use like 7 bags of coffee a month. And sometimes I have 7.5, sometimes 6.5, you know, but there's always that like little bit of excess, a little bit of shortage. So that's a difficult thing to like exactly match. and sometimes like people might like cancel just because they have too much of it, or they have to like, they will like run out, and then they will start looking for new options elsewhere. So that's a bit of a problem. It's hard to balance these volumes for the buyer. So that's some of the pros and cons of the subscription model. I definitely recommend that you give it a go, try it out, because I think the cons, or the pros really, they really outweigh the cons, and it can be a great addition for your business. It's a little bit of a long-term thing, so you have to have that vision there and go for those long-term gains, even at a little bit of an expense of short-term profits. But that's that. Make sure to subscribe for the channel so you don't miss out on all the great value that I'm going to bring in the future videos, and also to support these videos coming to you every day or every other day in the future as well. So thanks you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.